Hi, welcome to this first episode of Would I Buy This Again? The format is simple. I talk briefly about products I have bought, sometimes a little while ago, sometimes longer ago, and I discuss what is it, why did I get it, what do I like, what don't I like, and in conclusion, would I buy this again? So today in Would I Buy This Again, I am going to talk about a product I've had for a long time, didn't have for a while, and then bought again, which is the, hope you can see it, Olympus EP-1. So the Olympus EP-1 is a 12 megapixel micro four thirds camera that was first brought out in 2009, I think. So why did I buy this? First, I bought this not too long after it came out in 2009, and at the time I bought it because I had a DSLR, a Canon DSLR, not a pro model, but a camera that was quite big and bulky, lenses were big, picture quality was okay, never really liked the camera otherwise, didn't really meet up to my expectations. So when I heard about micro four thirds, I was really interested because I was really keen on sort of sizing down my equipment, making it easier to carry it along on vacation or other trips. So I started reading more about that and I was soon convinced that that was the way to go. I remember at the time you had the Panasonic GF1 coming out, and then this one. There were quite some good reviews about the Panasonic GF1, but I didn't really like how it looked, which is always an important part of pretty much any purchase I make, because I like things that look good. So when I saw this Olympus, I was pretty much sold straight away. I mean, it looks so much better. Just look at the metal finishing and just the simple sort of retro looking lines. It's a pretty camera still today. So so that's why I bought it, to replace my big bulky Canon DSLR. I shot this for quite some years actually, and then I sold it to upgrade to the Olympus EM5, the first one I think, and after that I upgraded to several other models, only to conclude probably a few years ago, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, that I really missed this camera. I wanted it back in my collection. So why did I buy it the second time? Because I missed it and I wanted it back. So I got it back. I shoot with it from time to time. It's a lot of fun. So that's why I got it the second time. So on to, what do I like about it? There's a lot of things I like about this camera. First off, as I mentioned, I really like the way it looks. It's a great looking camera, retro finish. People have often asked me if this is an old film camera. It's not. It's a micro four thirds camera, as I mentioned before. But I can see why they ask. It does have that feel to it. Also, it looks very sturdy. It feels solid build. So that's what I really like about it. I also really like the picture quality, especially at the time. I remember being a bit afraid stepping over from a DSLR to micro four thirds, that the picture quality wouldn't be as good. But what surprised me, that it was even better than what I was used to. So that was really great. And I mean, compared to what cameras can do nowadays, obviously it's a 12 megapixel camera. And it's not as great as some of the 20 megapixels or even 40, 50 or whatever is available right now. But it's still, you can make great pictures with it today even. So picture quality, great. Price then, especially today, I mean it wasn't a cheap camera at the time, but nowadays you can get these cameras for, you know, less than €100, less than $100 I suppose even. To be honest, I have a few of these cameras. I have one with less than 100 clicks on it. Can you imagine? And a camera from 2009 that someone just purchased at some point, put in their closet and never really used. Less than 100 clicks. And you know, I got these cameras for 50, 60, 70 euros, and it's great. I have this first one, which is a bit, you know, it has some scratches, and this is the one I use, and then I have two others that I'm saving for the future, for whatever purpose. But they're really cheap nowadays, so it's a great reason to get one. Otherwise, so a good build, pretty, solid as well. Picture quality is fine, you know. I'll show you some pictures I did back in the day with this camera. They're cheap nowadays, so that's great. I think pretty much covers it. Onto what don't I like about this camera. Well, there's a few things I don't like, which is the most important one for me. As you can see, there is no viewfinder on the back, no electronic viewfinder, no optical viewfinder. This is the only camera I have that I use that doesn't have a viewfinder, because I really like using viewfinders. It doesn't have it. Does it bother me? Not so much. This is a camera that I'm very forgiving with for some reason, because I love it so much. But it doesn't have it, and also it doesn't take an electronic viewfinder, unfortunately. So this hot shoe does allow for an optical viewfinder. There is an optical viewfinder that matches this, you know, style-wise, perfectly. I think it's the I don't know what it's called. I'll put it under here later. But I've had it the first time I owned the EP1. It doesn't really give you the field of view, the right field of view. It doesn't give you any information from the camera. I mean, there's no connection, you know, there's no electronic input on the back here. So it's what it is. It's an optical viewfinder. It didn't really work for me. I sold it quite quickly after getting it. So yeah, that's well, that sucks really. I wish it did take an electronic viewfinder, but it doesn't. So so that's the first thing I don't like about this camera. So something else that I don't really like about this camera, which is a bit of a pet peeve, but anyway, it's the grip. I'll show you. There's this little bit of rubber on the front, and that's sort of all the grip you have. It helps you, I mean, obviously the metal is a bit slippery, so the rubber does help you not to let it drop so easily, and it doesn't feel like you would, but if you're carrying this around for a whole afternoon or a whole day even, you would like a bit more grip. You know, it's just a bit more comfortable. But then again, I suppose this camera wasn't really meant to take on a long hike and use with a telephoto lens or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's something else that I don't really like about this camera. Otherwise, not so much that I don't like, to be honest. No EVF, grip maybe a bit better, but that's about it. Anyway, I have to say I'm really quite forgiving when it comes to this camera, because yeah, I just have fallen in love with it, and still am. So so yeah, which brings us to the conclusion, and that one's quite easy today. Would I buy this again? Yes, I would, and I will, and I have. as I just show you. I do have another one, and in fact I do have a third one as well, as I mentioned. Yeah, so I have one that I'm really careful with, the one with less than 100 clicks, saving that one just to have a pristine model. And then I have one that I use from time to time, which goes in my camera bag, and sort of one in between, one that I'll use if the first one breaks. There's some stuff on the screen, some lines, so if one dies I'll have a second one and I'll still have the pristine one. Yes, I'm a bit of a sucker and a fanboy for Olympus for that, so that's why I have them like this. So yeah, the EP1, if you run into one, definitely get one. Get it for yourself, get it as a present. It's a great camera. You can get cheap lenses with it as well. This one holds the 17mm 2.8, which fits it perfectly. But there's also other compact lenses that you can use. For example, like this 14-42mm, which is a great compact little zoom lens that fits great on this camera as well. So yes, the EP1.